Here now. Thank you all for coming out. I think this is something like the 100th event that I've done, and I always worry that no one's going to show up and look at the good people of Washington County always coming through for me and for us. So my name is Vince Brown. I am the chair of what's known as the Washington County Debate Coalition. We're a consortium of press, of academics, of interest groups, and others. And our goal is just to simply put on as many debates as we can. I think last fall we were able to do 5 or 6 municipal debates, and we're planning on doing, I think, 8 this fall, most of which will be at Utah Tech University. But I have the honor tonight of introducing our moderator, but before that, we would like to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and Sean Christensen from the Chamber of Commerce is going to come up and lead us in that.
Everyone please rise, remove your hats. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, well, this is one of the easier introductions I get to make tonight. First of all, let me just tell you about the debate. We're doing it in 2 parts. The order is ballot order for the openings. And we're going to allow 1.5 minutes for openings, 1.5 minutes for responses to questions, and 1.5 minutes for closing. But our moderator tonight, Sean Guzman, will be able to sort of navigate this for us. So let me introduce Sean. It's someone I believe everyone in this new room probably knows. Sean Guzman graduated from University of Utah with a degree in regional and urban planning, and he received a JD from BYU. He was the city attorney at St. George for 19 years and has been serving the remainder of that time as government affairs director. He sits on a number of boards, and including one, the board of trustees at my university, Utah Tech University, and we're very thankful for that. He's retiring from the city of St. George, and so let's give him not only a welcome thank you, but not only a welcome, but a thank you for his service that he's done for the city as well, with a really big round of applause. And I think this is the moment where we can ask Troy and Victor to go up to the hotel room so they don't hear the first questions. We appreciate it. It's really nice up there, we promise. If you need anything, just let us know. All right. Okay, thanks. Come on up, Sean, and we'll get the debate started.
All right. Before I begin, I probably should have the questions with me, so I will grab those. I want to tell you that I just saw these this afternoon, and these came from the Debate Coalition, so they are not my questions. We are going to invite the candidates to come up. The first candidates will be for seat A, and that is Gil Almquist and Bill Hoster. Please come up. So as they're coming up, I'd like to ask, are there any elected officials in the room? Anybody who's an elected official, please stand. And Commissioner Snow is here. They're there. Okay, so there you go. Thank you for your service. And also, thank you for being here tonight. Please, gentlemen, have a seat. As was stated, you each will have a opening statement of 1.5 minutes where you can introduce yourselves. We're doing this in ballot order, so that means first up is Gil Almquist.
Ballot order? Is that?
That's what I was told, and that was the ballot
Okay.
order they told me. So,
What do you want me to push? Technology is not owned by mankind. Well, grateful to have you here tonight. Thank you to the coalition. Thank you to the chamber and those involved in this capacity. 44 years ago, I never dreamed that I would move into a little house with my wife on Bluff Street. It wasn't even a house, it was an apartment. And having left Dixie College with a lot of good friends and seeking 2 higher degrees elsewhere, I didn't think I'd be back here. But then I've never really wanted to leave. The reason being is it's a stable community. And where you stand depends on how you hum. So right on this corner, time is wasting. I get it. But seriously, somebody else built this community before I got here. And I want to continue that legacy because there will be other generations that need to come and have the stability that I enjoy. The safety to walk a street, the safety to, go to a park, even just to simply start a business and all of those things which we accomplished. I want others to be able to accomplish that. And believe me, they're coming because they really want to do that here. I just talked today with someone who said, this is my first time here and I already feel the spirit of the area. He's the Pasadena fire chief. Having said that, there's more to what the county has offered than just what I can do, and that is simply this. Still the lowest taxed government in the entire state of Utah by a long shot. We are the best bang for government in the entire state. We also have lowered taxes twice. We also have 10 seconds to go. I can only say that will be our goal, and we'll have other chances to answer. Thank you.
thank you. Bill Hostel.
Well, thank you all for coming tonight, and thank you for putting all of this together. I want to start by saying that in my career, I've had a lot of positions that have had critical roles where I can't hide behind a title. I've got to make critical decisions, or people are going to pay a very big price. I guess I need to go out on this corner too. And in those roles, I've been able to identify the ability to make difficult decisions. And I want to point out that the reason I'm here is after climbing in through being a Navy corpsman, a paramedic, and a firefighter, and also a volunteer mayor for many years, I sat on the fire district and I received a 92% property tax increase the moment I got in. And from that tax increase, it was an option of either close the doors or institute this property tax increase. I decided that I was not going to implement the property tax increase. I rolled up my sleeves and I went and found another solution. I went to the state legislature and I was able to get a sales tax that offered millions in savings to the citizens of Washington County. As a result of that, we were able to keep the fire department going. We were able to utilize revenue from our tourists to help us fund a critical infrastructure. My time up there with the legislature and doing other bills brought me to understand that we need people who are going to be sitting in those seats who are going to be bringing solutions and defending Washington County. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, the first topic from the coalition is the budget. So the budget transparency is more than just complying with the state's minimum legal posting requirements. It's about making government spending genuinely accessible and understandable to the citizens who are funding it. So this is a two-part question. And the first part is, as county commissioner, what specific steps will you take to ensure that the process of crafting the county's multi-million-dollar budget is fully visible to the public before it reaches a final vote? And the second part is, how do you plan to make the complex county financial documents more user-friendly so that an ordinary resident can easily track exactly how their dollars are being spent? And first up will be Commissioner Almquist.
Thank you. First of all, the budget needs to be on our front page. When you go to the Washington County website, you're going to just go right, boom, done, right there. You don't have to hunt for it. But it has been in the past very visible. It's there. You can find it. And in fact, I encourage everyone to go even tonight and look for it. if you can't find it, call me. My phone number, 680-9853. I'll make sure we get it to you. It's not what one candidate has been touting as this little 10-page sheet. No, it is very detailed. Every expense is there, and the budget has to be followed. And the second part of the question going forward was
how can you make it that
Yeah.
complex budget
Yeah,
more
simple.
user-friendly?
Yeah, simple. Just simply go to the front page of our website because I think there's a lot there. Granted, you have a lot of different categories to follow, but that should be one of them so that you can say, where's my money going? It's your money. It's not mine. I want to spend it the way you want, but you also need to know exactly how it's being spent. Thank you. Oh, 30 seconds more? Let me tell you, I have also gone into our budget. I've looked for things that we have allocated, and I've said, okay, that was spent exactly for the things that we wanted it to be spent for. You can't deviate. You have to go to before the public if you're going to change your budget. We do that all the time. But as far as transparency goes, it's out there for everyone, and I'd love to have you walk through it easier on by putting it right on our page. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will say to both of you, if you need me to repeat the question, I'd be happy to do that before you take your time. Why don't you do that? Okay. It's, as a county commissioner, what specific steps will you take to ensure that the process of crafting the county's budget is fully visible to the public before it reaches a final vote? And how will you make the complex county financial documents more user-friendly so that an ordinary resident can easily track exactly how their dollars are being spent?
Okay, thank you, Sean. How many of you in here are aware that the budget's gone up over $60 million in the last 2 years? That's transparency, right? You should be knowing about that, and you should be knowing about that when you're voting on it. That's happened. A little bit of it's been passed through. How many of you know that we're using reserves to balance the budget? Again, we need to have that stuff right there, and it's not been. It hasn't been all along, and so it needs to be. The technology's there today to make these things available to you and to have that information in your front pocket. When we're talking about budget transparency, I had to go through that myself, and it was not easy on the county's website. I had to go to the states to try and find more information about what's happening with all of our tax dollars. And I've had a lot of people call me about some of those things as well and try to research them. So my answer to that is to utilize the technology, bring all of this information right in front of everybody so that you're there with the information when you come to our public hearing and you're able to have educated questions and decisions about what we should be doing next. I could go on for another 30 seconds, but it needs to happen. It hasn't happened up to this point, and I'll make sure it does. Thank you.
All right, continuing with our budget theme. Our law enforcement and county staff require competitive pay to prevent high turnover, and our rural infrastructure needs immediate upgrading. And we must maintain, along with that, a strong fiscal reserve to protect against economic downturns in the future. So, another multi-part question. When crafting the next county budget, what is your number one funding priority? Where would you cut? And if revenues fall short of projections, what specific area or areas of the county budget, whether it be in capital projects or department expenses or administrative overhead, are you prepared to cut first to ensure the county remains fiscally sound?
You want me to go first?
Yes, let's have you go first.
Pretty complex question with a very simple answer. The role of government is to protect property, life, and liberty, and that's it. Now, when the government goes into other factions, that's where we start to cut. Quality of life it's important, for sure, but it's a luxury that we try to do after we have protected property, life, and liberty. So my priority is going to be each one of those things. Public safety takes a significant part of our current budget right now, and it should. Public safety does cover those things. That's what I was involved with when I tried to bring the sales tax in to not raise property taxes and improve our public safety, our fire and safety and EMS. All of those things within our budget do impact our infrastructure. And infrastructure is something that we have to save for. We also have to go to our legislature and work with. And some of these things are going to be incredibly expensive going forward, hundreds of millions of dollars. That's not going to be able to come out of our budget. It's going to take people sitting in the seats that are going to be able to go to the legislature and bring those dollars down so we're not increasing our property taxes. Thanks.
Well, there's 9 electeds in the county. There's 3 commissioners and 6 others, each of them independent of the other. They have to provide a budget at the beginning of the process in the year. We're almost there. And they tell us exactly what they think they're going to need, including the inflationary question that was just asked. We have tackled that inflation on wages, not only in public safety, but in every single department, because somebody will leave the county for $2 to go somewhere else, even though their benefits may not be as good. We go through that budget process with these elected officials and the departments for the purpose of deciding what we can prioritize, what they absolutely have to have. Well, to provide you with services, obviously a big portion of that goes to employees. We need to keep employees. The longevity of an employee is wonderful. They know the ropes, they know what to spend, they know what to save, right? And so we go through that process. It's all public. We have a preliminary budget, and we have not used savings to balance that budget. Now, we have suggested through our clerk auditor that we might need to, but in the last year, we actually thought we might have to do that for the first time in a long time. But in reality, what happened was we saw the economy of this wonderful, thriving area step up through sales tax and the other growth that we've been able to get, and we have balanced the budget without saying, hey, break the piggy bank. Haven't done it.
Thank you. And I will say thank you for accommodating me sitting tonight. Yes, I am retiring and my age is coming. I'm feeling my age, and so my back didn't allow me to stand the whole time. So thank you for accommodating me hosting this and moderating it from my chair. And so dovetailing along with your last statement, we're going to address inflation and taxes. From county contracts to equipment procurement, inflation is driven with the cost of local governance for all of us. How do you propose keeping Washington County's property taxes among the lowest in the state while absorbing inflationary operational increases without cutting core public services? And the second part is, as county commissioner, what is your strict fiscal philosophy regarding taxes? Under what specific conditions, if any, would you vote to increase the certified tax rate and therefore the property tax burden on local homeowners? We'll start with you, Gil.
Well, it's been a historical fact that for thousands of years, when an economy thrives, when people are working, we have one of the lowest unemployments of the entire state, plus people are coming here. And we are seeing so many new startups and other businesses, including industrial and manufacturing, et cetera. But the nice thing is that when people want to go somewhere, they build that economy and they spend. We have services here now, 2 Costco's, who'd have thought, 2 In-N-Outs, and you see how we are growing. That has been the ability for us to keep up. But that doesn't mean because the county may get more money from sales tax that we should just spend it. In fact, the reality is in the last time, in all of the time that I've been with the county, we have said, where can we cut? Where can we, still provide all those services? We found that there are some places where somebody retired, and yet the absorption of that job was accomplished, whether the Treasurer's Department, whether in GIS, or all of those places. Granted, we don't want to overburden our employees, but at the same time, we've been able to save money there. And we've also been able to save money by going out and, for the competitive bid process, finding those that are actually going to save us. And I can tell you that across the board, when you look at our budget, you can see where things have only increased because we're trying to make sure that maintenance of service is there and our employees are happy. But I also see TIME, I think that spells time.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Bill, same question. You need me to repeat it? How do you propose keeping Washington County's property taxes among the lowest in the state while absorbing inflationary pressures without cutting core services? And as commissioner, what would your strict fiscal philosophy be regarding taxes? And under what specific conditions, if any, would you vote to increase the property tax rate.
I think this really bodes well in my experience, where I think it's disingenuous, honestly, to advertise that we haven't raised taxes in the last 16 years when we've had that incredibly large increase over the last 2 years of $60 million. And we're using the reserves to balance the budget. They haven't pulled from the reserves yet, but what's to say that isn't going to happen? And so sequentially, what that equates to is, are we going to have to raise property taxes? Now, fiscal responsibility, accountability, and transparency is essential in all of those things, but we have to have frugality at the front of the line. We have to be funding just protecting property, life, and liberty as we're doing these things. I don't think the question was answered appropriately of what would we do to keep taxes down. We're not going to be able to just simply rely on growth. We're not going to be able to do that. I don't think any community can do that, and we've seen that. It actually adds to our costs. And so we're going to have people who are going to be going to the legislature, protecting our tax dollars that are already here that they've tried to take from us, trying to get more sustainability from them, especially in the upcoming Olympics and all of the things that are going to be funded up there. We're also going to have the ability to be innovative and creative. My track record with trying to go get sales tax instead of property taxes, I think should show that to you right, very clear.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to continue on tourism and taxes. So our tourism economy brings in vital tax revenue that offsets property taxes for residents, but millions of visitors come here annually and place an immense burden and strain on our local roads, search and rescue teams, and municipal emergency services. So the question is, as a county commissioner, how will you strike the right balance between using funds to aggressively market Washington County as a world-class destination versus maximizing every dollar allowed under the state law to mitigate the direct impacts of tourism on our residents' daily lives?
Okay, so this is another good one. We've got amazing employees that work for the county in our tourism. Now, because of tourism, we're actually able to save, I think it's about $1,500 per household in our property taxes, which is amazing. That's great. Now, the question comes from what my good friend Sean exposed. The legislature dictates how much of those TRT funds and TRCC funds we're able to use and what and where. And should that always be the case? I think that we have to actually go to the legislature and try to get that stopped. We need to be able to decide it here in the county with what we should be doing. Should we be bringing in more people when we've got a lot of people that are already coming in, and use that money for other things that are going to help benefit the area, the airport, some of the Dixie Center, some of these things versus advertising? Those things could be done at local level decision making and not at the legislature. Salt Lake City doesn't know us, so let's keep it down here in Washington County. Thank you.
Same question, Gil.
Well, I think a lot of us have come here for the first time maybe as a tourist. And a lot of your neighbors have, perhaps because they fell in love with the area, just like the fire chief that I talked to today. Tourism is a vital part of an area that is so beautiful. Well, when are we going to tell people they can't come and see beauty? We just have to manage what happens. And if the impact is so great that we have to start making adjustments, we can't just say, don't come here. It's not possible to do that. As far as how the money is spent, the legislature has been very rugged and tight on how they're going to adjust those percentages which were established between marketing and brick and mortar. We have spent the brick and mortar in our cities and towns across the county. We're not hoarding it. We have a savings for big things like an expansion of the Dixie Center so that others can come and have a convention here and we can have the opportunity for their sales tax, their TRT to be spent in this hotel and others. We have not been hoarding it away from the Wheels Park in Washington, the trail up on the Red Hill below the Dixie Rock, not to mention the Sun Bowl, which is a historic and valuable part of our traditions. That money is being spent here for our citizens on the payments that have been made by our tourists.
Okay, so let's follow up on the tourism and taxes. You both have mentioned the constraints that are placed on us by the legislature on how we use that, and that Washington County's situation is quite different than maybe another county in the state.
Sure.
So the question is, what specific things would you do to make a change to the law that would give us in Washington County more flexibility to use those monies that are directed towards tourism on other items, projects?
With us, we have a local legislator who was actually able to wiggle out some money for Springdale and the impacts of tourism that has on a population of 500 people. You can only imagine, right? And because of that, we were able to expend a little more flexibility there. I've talked to Speaker Schultz. I've said, hey, why don't you let us individually be able to decide how to best spend that money, whether it's in marketing or whether it's in brick and mortar? He said, I would love to run a piece of legislation that would give power to the local people, the local economy. He said, you have a small portion of the legislature, and we already have a large portion of those votes up here that are saying, no, keep it as it is. I'm not going to give up, because I think as our tourism director is here, as Kyle Case with the Senior Games is here, as we have others that are involved in this tourism industry are here, they know that there's a value to marketing, but there's also a value to structures that we can all enjoy. And that's where the money is being balanced and spent. But I can honestly tell you that me personally, I would love to have the three commissioners, the others that are involved, our hoteliers, our tourism director, and others to be able to say, hey, let's be able to locally refocus where those monies can go and stay within the confines of the legislature. You don't want to get on their bad side. Believe me, it still is kind of the Payson-Dixon line, or Payson-Dixie line.
Thank you, Bill. I'm Gil. Yeah, Bill, excuse me. Same question.
Bill Gill.
Bill Gill.
Phil.
Yes, I know that's confusing.
Don't confuse that at the ballots, though. All right, you're going to start my time. Okay, talk is one thing, but getting it done is another. And I experienced that the last 3 years as I was going to the legislature, of getting slammed down at 11:59 on some of my bills, or ticking off somebody else because something else had happened in the county. These are difficult things. You've got to have good relationships with our legislators to try and get these things resolved. Now, for us to have that local control, like I was talking about, I've talked with Brittany, I've talked with Nicole, I've talked with a lot of these people. They know what's going on. They really do. Those people, they're on the front line, and they're the ones who should be telling what we need to do with what. They really do. And I trust them, and I think you should too. They're on the front line. Now, should we be allowing somebody up in Salt Lake City, a legislator, to be just saying, hey, we're going to paint the house with one brush, one color? I don't think so. And so as long as we have great people here who are able to give us that feedback, I say we put it in their hands, and then we get those results back, and then Washington County dictates how we use those funds. Thanks.
Thank you, and I apologize for the feedback. I'm doing my best to try to turn this microphone off, but I can't get it to go. So, okay. We're going to switch over to some litigation that's been going on for a few years in the Northern Corridor. Another example of being dictated to by others. The Northern Corridor Highway has been the subject of federal litigation and has seen approval by the BLM, and then to have that revoked, and now there we go, again gained approval, and now it's in litigation again. So it's been many years overdue. How should the county navigate this legal gridlock to address the east-west traffic congestion while balancing environmental needs and the desert tortoise mitigation agreements? And talk to us a little bit about your view on Zone 6 and the trade-offs that are proposed in that Zone 6 proposal for the Northern Corridor.
Northern Corridor. So I sat up in Green Springs the other night with about 100 people who were really ticked off about the Northern Corridor. And they felt like they didn't have a voice at the table. Well, we talked about it doesn't matter right now because it's all in litigation. Now, when the litigation's done, guess what's going to happen? An appeal. Doesn't matter who wins, there's going to be an appeal. Now, does the county dictate this? No. Does the state dictate this? No. The courts are going to dictate this. Now, we were talking about some of the things that have happened since 2009 when this was implemented. This route has changed multiple times. Conserve Southwest has come in and shown, hey, we've got some problems here with the turtles. We've got some problems here with some of the landscape. And all of those things need to be taken into consideration. I've talked often with Congresswoman Malloy about some of the issues that are in effect right now, the land swaps, Zone 6. I've talked with another group that wants to make sure that Zone 6's timeline is not 20 years out, that it's forever, and that we don't have homes that are going to be built in there after the 20 years. What's happening at the legislative level? It's not going to happen at the county, but we have to make sure that we got people sitting in the seats that are going to be able to represent those interests for you, listening to you all the way through and taking it to our legislators so that we can get this done right. Thanks.
Same question.
Well, I'm sensitive to those that live up there because that road has been in existence before the homes were there, but I often tell you that developers don't tell you what's coming. And quite frankly, if I lived up there, I wouldn't want it right behind me either. Washington City made the decision of where it was going to go, their portion, and then beyond that, I would love to push away from those homes that are on the west side, the actual route, where we had originally thought that it could be one of the alternatives, and it was pushed closer to those homes, and I feel bad about that. But I want to approach the northern corridor from some misnomers, people saying, well, great, we'll just have more hotels and residential places up there. The corridor is a one-shot through this NCA, this protected area, the habitat. There will not be that kind of, and some people call it a freeway, a road, whatever. It's a parkway, and that's what it's designed to do. The Zone 6 question, I want to preserve that forever. That's where I hiked all over when I first moved here with my parents years ago, and it was a beautiful area to go hiking. I had no idea that I was hiking next to so much history as well as protected species that would inhabit that area. I do want to protect that. I'm in discussions with some who want to even make it a state park. Well, maybe it'll be a state recreation area, we'll see. But the corridor, I believe, is important for us to get our east-west travel, reduce our pollution, and of course, I do want to protect the homes there as best we can. Thank you.
Okay, the next topic is zoning and affordable housing. Something that mostly cities deal with, but this is asking what you would do as a commissioner. The commission recently approved the planned development multifamily zone ordinance along the I-15 corridor to incentivize attainable housing and permit a variety of housing types like apartments and duplexes in the unincorporated county. Is this the right approach to solving our housing affordability crisis, or does it risk changing the rural character of that area and of our communities?
Technically, it's me. We do have a housing crisis. 5% of the population of the county is within the unincorporated areas. I applaud the cities. I see a city council member here who have tried to address this issue with zoning. And I've always said that design trumps density. I've seen some beautiful projects, and then I've seen some pretty ugly ones. But design does trump density, and especially when it comes to walkability in the downtown St. George area, whether it's Laverton, Hurricane, wherever. As far as addressing the unincorporated county, I really believe that these subdivisions need to be within a municipality. Whatever that takes to help that municipality either absorb them or deal with their infrastructure. We can't continue to say that we can have septic tanks everywhere and drill wells. We have to be in areas where those services, even though it's a rural area, are provided by a municipality where they can provide the adequate services. And of course, there's a taxation issue there, or whether it's an impact fee of a new house, et cetera. But I know that we need this housing. We just need to have it where those services are available, so the pressure isn't on a developer to go out in the county and spend millions and millions of dollars. Some people say, well, hey, it's also going to deface the land to have these big projects out there. Again, if they will work with the land, be respectful of the fire danger, and of course, work with the municipalities. That's why in unincorporated areas I feel about affordable housing.
Thank you.
I opposed, let me make sure I'm on. I opposed that zone, and I made calls when I learned about it. I didn't think that it was fair to the municipalities that were right next to it. They were going to bear some of the burdens without any of the benefits that were going to come with that. Now, when we talk about affordable housing, y'all have to remember there's multiple parts of this equation that go into effect. A big part of it is, can our kids or you afford those houses? That is one of the bigger parts. My kids can live up in Pleasant Grove and have a house that they could have bought here, but they can't get a job here to afford it. And so we have to work on economic development as a part of that affordable housing as well. The high density zoning, it should be happening in municipalities. Municipalities should be dictating this, not the county. Counties have never traditionally been a place where high density housing occurs. Those issues should be discussed with the municipalities. The municipalities should be steering the ship on those things. Now, we do have the question about impact fees that's coming up, where one development wants to go into the county because we don't have impact fees versus going into a municipality where they have high impact fees. Those things need to be resolved. We need to be working with trying to make sure that developments are going into the municipalities instead of into the county. As it's been noted, we have impact that's going to happen to the residents, those people that are there right now, and they should be getting the benefit from those impacts. Thank you.
All right, if you felt like you didn't have enough opportunity to answer that last question, this one kind of dovetails on it, so you'll have some time to elaborate. And this one is heritage versus sprawl. As suburban sprawl pushes further into the county's rural areas, some say we're rapidly losing the agricultural heritage that we've valued over the years here in Washington County. Others say, of course, that we have to protect the rights of the farmers to do what they want with their land, and that's becoming increasingly difficult with the economic pressures that we see here for land values. So, what specific policy mechanisms do you support to preserve agricultural lands and prevent unchecked sprawl, and how do you strike a balance between conserving those open spaces and protecting the property owner's right to sell their property? Oh, excuse me. Yes, it is your turn, Bill, to be first.
I'm glad I get to go first on this one because I am all about getting the government out of the way. I believe the free market knows exactly what to do. Now, when we're talking about property rights, you should have your property rights protected as well as your neighbors. We have to be conscientious of both sides of the fence. Now, when we're talking about sprawl and agriculture, we have to be conscientious of if that ag wants to sell their property, they should have the right to be able to do that. Is sprawl, I can tell you, I remember growing up in Davis County and working as a paramedic up in Salt Lake City. Ogden was one city, Bountiful, Salt Lake City, Provo, it's all one now. So it eventually happens. I've got a 1.5-year-old granddaughter. I'd love her to stay 1.5. That'd be amazing. It just doesn't happen. And so the reality is, if we manage the growth doesn't manage us. So we have to be able to plan for those sorts of things. And by planning for those sorts of things ahead of time and with executive minds and being conscientious of the impact that it's going to have, we're going to be able to take care of our water, we're going to take care of our safety, and make sure that we're funding it appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill?
Having been here now almost 50 years, I can tell you there are places I wish had not been developed. But when you look at them and you say, those property rights of those owners had to be respected, it's America. It's not a place where government can say what you do in your backyard or in your own neighborhood. And so I've seen some of the areas that I used to motorcycle ride in or hike, and they're homes. But I'm not going to go out to Little Valley and say, I regret that we ever zoned you residential. That's not right. But when you look at the zoning laws that we have, we can be very careful. I want to switch to the side about the sprawl because indeed we've seen this area grow, but still 70% of our county is federally controlled. Only about 17% really has a private land ownership possibility. And we of that 17%, much of it can't be built on. We're running out of land. So let's just face it, we're gonna have to come back in to the cities, into our municipalities. We're gonna have to think smart about how we control population by not having so many cars. We need to be able to walk places again. We need to have some services go out to the communities. But I can honestly tell you, there are groups out there that are preserving our ag areas. It's very difficult. They need your support, even if it's $10. But there are some groups out there saying, let's save Pine Valley.
Thank you. This next question goes along with the rapidly growing construction and development in our area, and that's resource extraction. To keep Washington County growing affordably, we need a local supply of aggregate materials. Yet homeowners who move to southern Utah for its clean air and quiet neighborhoods are increasingly finding themselves downwind of heavy industrial blasting, crushing, and hauling. Part of our growth, right? As county commissioners, how would you balance the private property rights of aggregate miners and the county's need for construction materials against the health, safety, and quality of life demands of our communities? And where do you draw the line on allowing heavy resource extraction near established or growing communities?
Right. I can tell you that the state controls a lot of what mining can do here. And a lot of that includes what they do when they're finished mining. I've been a big advocate. Restore the land when you're done. You're supposed to save enough overburden so that you can put it at least back to where nature could grow something on it. But in the meantime, you're right. We can't pull everything up through the gorge. Our homes would not be affordable, even if they're not affordable now. So up in the area of Pintura and Browse, as sad as I love that beautiful valley, the county has allowed in that area, and of course some of it is in the municipality of Tokerville, to extract minerals from there, especially the sand and gravel that is in the concrete of your homes or in our roads, etc. And I am sad about one thing that's happening. If they can replace the overburden with something that'll grow something, and eventually it'll grow back. But there are some ancient areas. When I say ancient, I'm talking about 100-year-old places where they have mined. That needs to still have the opportunity to be extracted. And I can tell you that some exist next to neighborhoods. I can only say that it is up to the municipality or the county to make sure that everything in the code is followed. That means dust control, time of operation, whether you have the proper access to a road. All of those things are fair to the neighbors. All of those things also should be the thoughtfulness of a developer, or in this case, a contractor, to say, I don't want to be kicked out or hated just because I have this operation. It's fairness.
Will you repeat?
Yes, this question is on resource extraction. As we have a need for the aggregate that comes from these mining operations, as a county commissioner, how will you balance the private property rights of the aggregate miners against the county's economic need for, and the county's economic need for construction materials against the health, safety, and welfare of the public? And where do you draw the line on allowing heavy resource extraction near established or growing communities?
He's repeating the question.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
What that meant is Sean only had 30 seconds.
Yes, and I'm done. So start my time again. Thank you.
Okay. So everything that you see in here, everything that we have, has been either grown or mined. That's a reality. Now, the other reality is some of it has caused cancer, some of it has caused early death, some of it has caused a lot of problems. But fortunately, we have watchdogs and people that come in and identify problems. I can tell you in Leeds, we had an area that had been mined. I had somebody, and she's here, who did a whole bunch of research that educated me on a bunch of things I didn't know. Now, we have state departments that come in, the DERR, the DEQ, and they try to tell us what you can and can't do. Well, they're not always right. Unfortunately, we don't have the jurisdiction to tell them you're wrong. But what we can do is take some of that research and push back and say, is this actually safe? Show us those numbers. Let us critique everything that you're providing to us. And that was done, and I got to see some of those numbers change. Now, when we're talking about property rights and business rights to be able to extract and mine and excavate, why we have to just do it with consideration of protecting life, property, and liberty. If we're going to cause a hazard to somebody else's health or safety, that's when a regulation has to be implemented, and we have to make sure that those operations do not impede or infringe on them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we've acknowledged that we have rapid growth and that can impact the quality of our environment in the county. So the question here is, what practical measures can you do as commissioners to implement policies that do not, that protect the environmental quality that we have in our county and visual quality of our county versus protecting the property rights of the individuals who own the property? How do we balance that while protecting the property rights of the individual and still protect the natural environment that we cherish?
If I understand the question correctly,
And I'm sorry.
did
I
any
will
of
say
y'all
that
get confused on that one too?
This is what happens when you get the questions and you want to be neutral. But to summarize again, it is, we recognize that we have a beautiful environment in our county. So how
do we
as a
protect it
commissioner,
while protecting property rights?
How do you protect that while still protecting the rights of the property owner to do what they want with their property?
You know, we do live in an amazing place. Most of us have moved here because it's so beautiful. The air is amazing. You don't taste it like you do up in Salt Lake City. Oh, it's night and day. I love it. We have clear skies. It's wonderful. The noise is pretty much down. The problem that we have with this is we have a lot of property rights that say, hey, if I want to build this on my property, I should be able to do it. And those areas that are on their property reside within zones. Those zones dictate what they can and cannot do. And that's where municipalities are usually in charge of this, not the county. Now, when we're talking about open space, state space, BLM space, we don't have a thing to do with those. They get left alone, and it's exactly how they should be. And so when we're talking about protecting property rights and what people want to do, the government should not be dictating what color your door is. What the government should be dictating is making sure that we're protecting life, liberty, and property. Thank you.
Counties have the opportunity in the unincorporated areas to work with the state on various limitations. Some people might say, hey, I own 10 acres in Pine Valley. I can divide it up amongst my 10 relatives and we can each have a 1 acre lot. Guess what? You can't. Because there is a septic limitation. Unless you're going to an expensive alternative system, you cannot put all of that waste in the groundwater. And that is where the state started in looking at nitrates that are in the wells that come out of the ground that you drink. And that's where they started to say, stop the density. You cannot continue to drop your waste in your septic systems. It's coming down Highway 18. And there are those that are great directors of water companies, one sitting right here, that wants to protect their pure water. But the sad thing is that if it's coming from the bottom up and you're contaminating it from the top down, that's going to be a density issue. And that's where it's dictated upon us. We cannot approve those 10 1-acre lots in Pine Valley and still say to them that they can build their home there and have a septic tank. Again, an alternative system may be applied and is expensive. I believe that the county is still our recreation area. And in my heart, I want to preserve it that way. And if you have a cabin on a beautiful piece of land that's been in your family, amen. But it's not a place for higher densities.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the last question, and this has to do with state mandates. But we'll just make it simple. I'll condense this one. How's that? What would you do as a county commissioner? Because every session it feels like our local authority is under attack. What would you do as county commissioner to protect our right to govern ourselves in Washington County, which we do better than anyone, I might add.
I agree, and thank you, Sean. You've been a part of that. I can tell you that I can show you my phone of all the senators and representatives that I know up and down the state, that when I see legislation that is not good for Washington County, I'm texting them, I'm calling them. We have our own local representatives, but when you know them that are from Daggett, when you know them that are from the area of around Price, and you call them and you say, hey, that might work in the Salt Lake Valley, but that's not going to work in Washington County. Can you please make adjustments to that legislation so it's not so impactful? Again, I bring up a local legislator that's sitting right over here, has fought for us for decades, and who has said exactly the same things. But as a county commissioner, I found out something. I thought I was just a peon that they wouldn't listen to. But then when you have them calling you back and saying, okay, what is the wording you would like? And I talk to others and I say, hey, what do you feel in the Treasury, in the Treasurer's office that would be good in that language? The assessors have their own group that are continually fighting for things. We have the Utah Association of Counties, known as UAC, that lobbies and legislates for Washington County as commissioners. And of course, then we have our own lobbyists that help us. All through it, by the way, the next UAC president is sitting right back there. In fact, currently president, Adam Snow. And therefore, we'll fight for Southern Utah. That's how we work with our legislators to get what we want. Thank you.
So the question is, how would you work at the legislative level to protect our right in Washington County for local self-governance?
I've done this, and it's not just a text, it's showing up. You got to be there. It took me 3 years of going back and forth with the legislature to try and save millions in property taxes for Washington County. You've got to be there. Not only having the relationships, but you've got to also be able to provide the solutions. I spoke with Speaker Schultz just a couple weeks ago about the property tax that all of us who own businesses have had to face. And we're going to try to see what we can do about getting some legislation done to try and reverse that so that anyone who's got businesses is not having to pay additional property taxes or renting your equipment from the government. And so when we have overreach that's happening from the state, you got to be there. You got to show up and you got to talk to them and try to make sure that they're not impeding on what's happening in Washington County. It's going to take somebody strong in that seat to do it. And believe me, yes, we end up, when I try to legislate protecting kids against lewdness, we had Salt Lake City trying to fight all of us on those matters. You got to show up and you got to be there. Thank you.
Okay, and under the rules, if there is a reference to the other candidate, we will allow a 30-second rebuttal. Gil has requested that on this one, referencing the text.
You're right. It's not just a text. It's those legislators actually staying in our home. But it's also the fact that I have other representatives that are on the Hill, whether it's Commissioner Iverson or Commissioner Snow or our lobbyists or those that are working for cities on our behalf that are also there, because somebody has to be here. Also, I'm not going to spend hotel time and food on taxpayer dollars when I already know I have adequate coverage there and I can support them through commenting to our legislators in other ways. That's your money. I'm not going to waste it.
Thank you. So that concludes the questions. Now you're allowed another minute and a half for closing statements. And again, we are going to do it in the order of the ballot. So that would mean Gil goes first.
When I grew up in Lake Arrowhead, and luckily I came here, my friends would always say, let's go out in our boats and have some fun. And I would say, okay, and then there was always one, Wayne Moniger, he had his own little skiff. It held about 4 people. It leaked. And I said, I'm not going to be the one who's bailing the whole time. I want to have fun. I can tell you, Washington County is not leaking. We have our sails out. This is a county that's moving. We have momentum. And that continual momentum is the reason why we can have lower taxes, why we can have government that is not exorbitant. I don't want to build government. I don't want more bureaucracy. That leads to more taxes. That leads to more burden on you. I want to say that right now, this ship, if you go with the metaphor, is fully loaded. It is a battleship that will take on every challenge, and it has the momentum that we need for those who want to come here and visit and spend their taxpayer dollars and enjoy our surroundings. We know that there will be a limit. I am fully aware that it just can't be willy-nilly, fun at the circus all the time. But when we have these challenges, I'm up to the task. I have the experience through my time as a planning commissioner, as my time as a city council member, and being a commissioner now, how to work with people, work with our party. Heaven's sakes, it's the greatest grand old party. I want to be your commissioner. Vote Gil Almquist, County Commissioner, C-Day.
Thank you. Bill?
Well, thank you again for all coming tonight. I want to point out, we're not going to be looking in the rearview mirror to try and get things done. We need to look down the windshield. We need to have accountability. We need to have transparency. And we need to have fiscal responsibility. These are all things that are going to get us through the critical times that we've got ahead. I can guarantee you that the money that we got from COVID is drying up. We've got infrastructure issues that are ahead of us. We've got inflation that's coming at us. All of these things, they don't take a political mind, they take an executive mind. Someone who has accomplished many great deeds within business and within finance, and being able to get these things done for the people. And so what I'm going to ask of you tonight is to look at my track record and look at my opponent's track record. I don't think that someone needs to come into this for a title. I'm not doing that. What I am coming into is to make sure that Utah County is going to stay safe, it's going to stay strong, and it's going to be a beautiful place going into the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you all for
Thank you.
being here. And we will get our other candidates down here, so feel free to take a break. There's more food and drink in the back. Thank you both.
Don't stand for us.